Hey there! Do you want to create a simple one-page website for free? Maybe a personal website, a business website, an online resume, or maybe a landing page for your next digital product. You name it. Well, in this video, I'm going to show you how I helped my cousin JC set up a one-page website for its upcoming ebook. I will show you how to get the website and design set up in just a few clicks, how to change the content, how to collect email addresses, and how to edit the header and the footer. And of course, it will look good on the desktop, on the tablet, and on the mobile. Hello, I'm Kay from the Astra team, and my cousin JC has a consulting business and he wants to know how to build a simple one-page website to promote his upcoming ebook. Because see, he hasn't written the ebook yet. He first wants proof that people are interested in that topic, so he thought, let me just put up a simple website and collect email addresses and see it from there. If there are enough email addresses, it means people are interested, and then he will write the book. But on the other hand, if he just collects a couple of email addresses, then it might be better to stop this project and maybe think about a different topic for its upcoming ebook. Makes sense. Now, JC doesn't know much about building websites, but I told him that in this day and age, even our grandma could build a website very easily. And I'm gonna prove it to him. Yeah, I know, we look very familiar. And if you followed one of the previous videos on the channel, and if you look at my family tree, you probably noticed that. And by the way, if you want to create such a nice family tree in the style of a bento grid, then make sure you watch this video. But of course, once you're done watching this one. So buckle up, grab a cup of coffee or tea if you prefer tea, and let's start building this one-page website together. But before we do that, let's quickly talk about the benefits of building a one-page website. And the first benefit of building a one-page website versus a full-blown complete website with multiple pages is quite obvious. It's much quicker to build, especially if you have the right tools, and we'll talk about that later in the video. But yeah, it's quicker to build, and that's super important because I can't tell you how many people I saw and heard talking about, hey, I'm going to put this website online, and then you meet them 1 year later and it's not done because they kind of underestimated the work that goes into building a website. Now, it can be super easy or super complex. I'm going to show you the super easy way, but even if I show you the easy way, it's always easier to build a one-page website. You have much less to create, to think about, and you can get great results. And let me insist and stress this point one more time. With a one-page website, you'll be online quicker. Even if you want to create a full-blown website, it's always nice to start with a one-pager. Next, if you build your one-page website the right way, it's going to be laser focused. In other words, it's going to act as what professionals call a landing page. And landing pages are one of the most powerful tools in your arsenal. Landing pages outperform product pages by far. Companies like Nike and Lisa have used landing pages to dominate their respective markets. So if Nike can do it, you can do it. Pun intended. And finally, one of the advantages of one-page websites is that it's going to be a great foundation to learn how to build more complex websites. Because a lot of the steps are the same between a one-page website and a multiple pages website. So once you've mastered how to create a one-page website, it's going to be super easy if you ever have to create a more complex website, or if you want to turn your one-page website into a multiple pages website. Okay, with that out of the way, let's dive in. Now, we don't just want to create any boring one-page website. We want to create a beautiful and modern one-page website. And the quickest way to achieve this is by using a tool called ZipWP. Basically, ZipWP is the #1 free AI WordPress website building tool. So to get started, just click on sign up for free. And you can either sign up with Google in one click or sign up with your email address. Now, I already have an account, so I'm just going to log in with my Google account. All right, next, click on create new, complete website. And first, just describe the type of business you want to build a website for. So I'm just going to type consulting, and here we have business consulting. So let me select that and click on continue. Next, enter the name of the business or what you would like the website to be called. It's going to be JC Consulting and click on continue. Next, describe what the website is about in just a few words. So this is the text I came up with, and if you need help, you can always ask AI. So I'm going to click on improve using AI. And there you go. So next, let me click on continue. And here you can select a few images that you would like to use on the website. I'm going to select a few, but as you will see, I'm going to replace these with my own images. But this is great. If you don't have images, you need to get started, you can use those images on your website. So let me click on continue. Next, enter your email address, your phone number, your physical address, and if you have any social media, you can add it here. Next, click on continue. And next, you can select a design for your website. And as you hover over the images, they start scrolling, so you can actually see what you will be building. So let me scroll down, and I actually like this one. So let me click on it and click on continue. Next, you can select additional feature that you'd like donation, sales funnel, free live chat, automation, video player, but we're going to skip it for this tutorial. So let me click on continue. And next, click on start building the website. And I'll sit back, relax, and enjoy the short flight. Awesome. Your website is ready. So here in the middle, you get your credentials that you can copy and save, but you can always find them in your ZipWP dashboard. So next, click on customize website. And here we can do a few things. So first of all, you can see here JC Consulting, but we don't want to show this. We want to show our own logo. So I'm just going to unselect this option, show the title, then click on upload a file or drag and drop. So as we just saw, we can either drag and drop files or click on select files. Now I could select just the logo, but let me select all the files for the project and click on open. Next, let me select my logo and click on select. And as you can see, it's already looking much better. The power of branding, my friend. Now, of course, here you would upload your own logo. And if you don't have a logo and don't know how to create a logo, guess what? We have a dedicated video on the topic, and you'll find a link in the description of this video. But of course, make sure you finish watching this video first. Next, let's select the color palette, and we're going to pick this one here. So in just a couple of clicks, you can see how this already looks much better. And later on, if we wanted, we could change the color palette, but we're going to stick with this one. Next, we have several font pairs. Let's select this one. And next, click on save. And there you go. So this is our homepage. And as you can see, it already looks beautiful. So let's go back up by clicking on the back to top icon. And next, let's edit the content of our page. So as you can see here on top, we have the admin bar, and we can click on edit page, or we can hover over the name of our website, click on dashboard, and from there we can go to pages, all pages. And as you can see, we have a few pages. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to deactivate the pages that we don't need. We're not going to delete it because maybe later down the line, you may want to activate those pages. If one day you want to convert your one-page website to a multiple pages website, but you want to benefit on the consistency of design of the other pages. So I'm just going to select About, Blog, Contact, and Offerings. And then in the drop-down here where you see Bulk Actions, I'm going to select Edit, click on Apply, and I'm going to change the status to draft. Click on update. And now if I select published here, as you can see, the only page we have is our home page, but the rest is not lost, it's just in draft. All right, so let's go back to published, hover over home and click on edit. All right, and when we use ZipWP to generate the website, it installed the Astra theme, as well as the Spectra Visual Website Builder. And in case you don't know, Spectra is a powerful website builder that allows us to create pretty much any structure and any design we want. Now, if you want to know more about Astra and Spectra, I'll put a link to this playlist in the description below with the essentials for you to get started. Now, don't worry, for today's tutorial, all you need to do is follow what I do on screen and you'll be fine. So here on the right hand side, you see the panel where I can change the settings. So if I select one item, here I selected a container, I can change the settings on the right hand side. Now, if you want a bird's eye view of all the elements on your page, you can click on the document overview icon and you can see the structure right here. So this is our first container, then we have our second container, third, and so on. So let's take a look. Here we got our hero, then we have about, values. Here we have a call to action banner, then why choose us, testimonials, and another call to action banner. Now, before we start changing the content, the first thing we're going to do, we're going to select the last container, and then here we're going to click on Design Library. And this is going to pull some designs from the starter templates library, which is a very powerful library. And you can either use the standard free version, which is what we're going to use for this tutorial, or if you want, you can use the AI version, which costs money because let's face it, AI costs money. And with the AI version, the system is going to know exactly what you want to build and it's going to create the content for it. But like I said, for this tutorial, let's keep it simple. We're going to use the free version. So here I have all the different sections, hero, page header, and so on. Now I'm going to choose call to action. And I really like this design. So let me just click on insert. And there you go. As you can see, it added the container right here. All right. So now that we have this one, I don't need this anymore. And if I select it, you can see it's a group called footer CTA. Now that means that this footer, so this banner would appear on every page on the website. Now I don't want that, so I'm going to remove it. But if it was a multiple pages website and if I wanted to have the same banner at this spot on all pages, then I would keep it. So here I'm just going to click on the three dots and hit delete. Great. So let me scroll back up. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to rename our containers because that's really going to help in terms of organization and being sure you're editing what you want to edit and you delete what you want to delete and so on. So let me click on the first container. I'm going to click on the three dots and I'm going to rename it to hero. Now in the industry, hero will be like the first main section. So that's why we call it hero. So let me click on save. Next, let's call it about. Next container. And this time we're going to call it value. Save. Next container. Let's call it just banner. Next container. Why? Next container, testimonials. And finally, last container, CTA for call to action. All right, let me close this. And next, what we want to do is we want to give a specific identifier to each container. And the reason we want to do this is because we want to be able to access specific part of that page from the navigation or from other places like buttons and links. And if it's not clear at this point, don't worry because in just a few moments, it will be super clear. So let's start with the first one. Then we click on my container. Then let's go to advanced. Then once again, the advanced subtab. And where you see HTML anchor, we're going to give it a name. That name should be one word or two without spaces. So for the first one, let's call it home. So that's going to be the unique identifier. And you can see it appeared right here. Next, let's click on about. Let's call it about. Next, value. Let's call it value. Now, even though I gave the same name for value and about, as you can see for hero, I gave it a different name. Just to show you, it doesn't need to be the same name as the container name. You can choose any name you want. So next, let's click on banner and let's make it simple. Let's call it banner. Then why? And let's call it, you guessed it, why? Next, testimonials. Let's call it testimonials. And finally, CTA. And this one I'm going to call subscribe. All right. So let's click on update to save our work. And now we can start editing the content. So let me scroll back up. So that is our hero section. And first of all, I'm going to change the image. So with my hero section selected, let me go to style, change image, and I'm going to pick this one. Next, click on select. And it's nice, but it's a bit too dark in my opinion. So I'm just going to scroll down and let me change this from 0.8 to 0.3. So this is the overlay opacity. So at this point, we can see the image, we can still see the text. So it really depends on the type of image you have. If it's already a dark image, you might need less opacity. If it's super light, like full-blown white everywhere, then you might need more overlay. In this case, I think this is a good balance. Next, let me change the text. So I'm going to select all of this and I'm going to replace it with this text. Your brain is a cash machine, which is the title of the book. And let me change the text here from welcome to JC Consulting. All right, next, let me double click here to change the text from get started to discover. Now, this is an info box, even though there is a button here because you can find button widgets. I'm going to show you. If I click on the plus sign, you can see buttons here. And if I drag it just below, we have a button group. It looks exactly the same, but the difference is this is an info box. How do I know? Because here in the top right corner, you can see the name of the widget you're using. If I select the second one, it says button, so it's a button group. So I'm just going to delete this one by clicking on the three dots and delete. And this one, like I said, it's an info box. So it's slightly different because you find settings for several things: this title, that title, and the button. So if we do want to change where the button takes us to, we have to click on General, Call to Action, and here you can see where it says link. Right now, it's linking to the contact page, which we deactivated, so it would lead to nowhere. So instead, I'm going to type the £, and then I'm going to type the identifier of the container where I want us to be taken when we click on that button, if that makes sense. So if you want a refresher, let me click on the document overview, and these are the identifiers. So I just want to go from the hero section to the about section, and the identifier for that section is about. So right after the £, I'm just going to type about. Now let me click on update to save our work. Let me close this and let me click on preview. And now if I click on discover, as you can see, it takes us straight to the about section in a nice and smooth way. And this is the same technique that we'll be using later on for the navigation you see right here. We haven't changed the navigation yet, that's for later in the video. Now let's go back to editing our page and let's move on to the second section, which is the about section. So here I'm going to change the image. It's slightly different because the first one here was a background image. It was the background image of our container. Container, as the name says, contains elements. Whereas here, if I click on the image, we can see here in the top right corner, it's an image block. It's even easier because you get the image right away. Just click on change image. And I'm going to select this image, click on select. Awesome, super easy. Now let me change the text, and there you go. Now once again, let me click on the call to action here. We can see we are still in an info box. So let's go to general, call to action, and where you see link, let's type the £, followed by the identifier of the container we want to be taken to when we click on that button. In that case, it's going to be value. Great. Now let's scroll. The next container is our values. So here is just text. So I'm quickly going to change the text. And there you go. And once again, from the get-go, the text from the AI was great. But here I have a specific use case. So in this case, you can either write your own text or use the inbuilt AI features that I mentioned previously. But for today, let's keep it simple. So let's scroll to the next container and let me open the document overview. So this would be our banner container. So let me close this. So first of all, let me change the image. So with my container selected, I went to style, and here I'm going to click on change image, and I'm going to select this image here. Then click on select. All right, but once again, it's a bit too dark for my taste. So let me scroll down, still in the style tab, and I'm going to change the overlay opacity to 0.5. And it looks much better in my opinion, still readable, but we can see the book in the background. So next, let me click on the general tab, and where you see minimum height, I'm going to click on VH to change the unit, and let's make it 80 VH. So basically 80% of the vertical height. All right, next, let's change the text, and there you go. Now let me double click on the text here on the button. Once again, it's an info box, but first let me change the text. There you go. Next, click on the general tab, call to action, and where it says link, I'm going to remove this, type the £, followed by the identifier of the container I want to go to once the button is clicked. All right, so let me scroll and let's update our work. Super important. Next, why choose us? So here, let me change it to why choose me. And let's just update the rest of the content. Awesome. Now let's move on to the next container, testimonials. We're going to leave it as it is, but of course, in real life, you would put real testimonials. Next, and we finally arrived to the section or container that we implemented earlier on. So let me select my container, and we can see here that the container is selected. But once again, if you want to be sure, just open the document overview and make sure the container you want to select is the one selected here. So let me close this. So next, let me go to Style, Change Image, and I'm going to select this image here. Click on Select. Now let's scroll down to where it says Overlay Opacity, and let's change it to 0.5. Next, let me select this block here, this container. Then go to Style, Border, and where you see border radius, currently it's at 6, which means the corners here are rounded, as you can see. So let's change this to 0 just to be consistent with the rest of our design. Next, let me update the content. Awesome. But what we want to do is we want people to be able to leave their email address so that JC knows, hey, is this a good idea or not? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select this button group here, click on the 3 dots, hit delete, and then with my info box selected, let me click on the plus sign, and I'm going to type form. And this is the block we want to use. So it's blue compared to the other blocks, and blue because it's from the Spectra Visual Website Builder. So let me drag it just below. And here we can choose a simple contact form, a newsletter form, suggestion form, or just keep it and build a blank form. But we want to keep it simple. We want the minimum friction possible. So let's select newsletter form. And there you go. Now with our form selected, if we go to the general tab, let's close the general subtab. And if we click on actions, you see here a subtab called to, and this is the email address you want the forms to be sent to. And next you have the CC and BCC subtabs, just like in a regular email. Next, you can change the subject. So by default, it says form submission. Now let's change this and let's call it cash machine waitlist. Now, if you want to be on the safe side, you can use Google reCAPTCHA, but we're not going to do this in this video. So next, let's click on update. And now let's take a look at what we've built so far. So as I click on discover, it takes me to the next container. Same thing when I click on read more and so on. Here we have joined the waitlist. So it's taking me straight to the waitlist, but let's scroll back up. We have why choose me and client testimonials. And now let's test our form. So let's call it Jack Doe. Let's enter an email address and click on submit. And we have a confirmation here. The form has been submitted successfully. Now, while you build your website on the ZipWP platform, you might not receive the emails. But once you transfer your ZipWP website to your own web hosting, this should not be a problem. And if you ever experience any issues with sending and receiving emails from your website forms, guess what? We have a dedicated video on the topic. So I'll put a link in the description below, just in case you need it. Next, editing our header and footer. So as we saw, our website is looking beautiful and modern, but I want to show you how to edit the footer. And also, let me go back up. I want to show you how to change the menu because right now it's still linking to the old pages that we deactivated. So for that, let's go back to the dashboard. So let me click on the WordPress logo here. And before we make the changes in the Astra customizer, there is one thing we need to do. So for that, let's go to Appearance, Menus, and this is the current menu. Now I'm going to click on Create a new menu and give it a name. Let's call it One Page Menu. Next, for the display location, let's select Primary Menu and Off Canvas Menu. Then click on Create Menu. Alright, now we're going to add what is called anchor links. If you recall, while we were editing the page, we assigned identifiers to each container, and that's when it comes in handy. So where you see custom links, first of all, for URL, we're going to type # and then home, which is the first container. And if you forgot, you can always go back to editing the home page, clicking on the document overview, and you see the identifiers here. So the first one is home, and the next one is about. So first one is home, and for the link text, let's type home. Then click on add to menu. Next, let's type the # followed by about. And for the link text, let's call it about. Add to menu. Next, # value, and value text is value. Add to menu. Next, # y, and link text is y. Add to menu. And finally, # testimonials, and link text testimonials. Add to menu. Now let's click on Save Menu. And next, let's go to Astra, Customize, And as you can see here, we have a preview of the website. If I click on About, as you can see, it's taking me straight to the correct section. Let's click on Testimonials, and there you go. So it already works. So what we want to change is the Get Started button here to send it straight to the Join Waitlist form. But before we do that, let me quickly show you. So this is the Astra Customizer. And at the beginning of this video, I told you you could customize the identity here. So for that, you would go to Global. Then here you have typography. You can change the presets. So you have font pairs, or you can go by body font headings, or even with each separate title. So H1, H2 to H6. And if you don't know what this is all about, it's just like in Word, the bigger title to the smaller title. You could have a different font for each, which I do not recommend. I recommend maximum 2 or max 3 fonts, but it's better 2 fonts for your website. All right, if we go back and if we go to colors, here we have our color palette and our global colors. So once we have our global colors, we can assign those global colors to, for example, the links, the headings. So basically, let's say you have a specific color palette, this color palette, and then in 2 years you rebrand and your colors are yellow. Well, all you would need to do is change your global color palette here, and everything would be reflected throughout the website without you needing to go to each and every place and change the colors. All right. So that being said, we're here because we want to change this button. So there are 2 ways you can do it. The first one is here in the navigation, click on the Header Builder. And here you see a representation of your header, and we can see the button is right here. So if I click on the button, you can see we can change the settings here. Now the other way to do it, so let me go back. Let me go to scroll to top, for example. So if I want to access this button, the second way is to just hover over the button and you can see the edit icon here. So let me click on it and I land at the same spot we saw previously. So I'm going to change the text to join waitlist. Should be join the waitlist, but trying to make it shorter. And for the link, I'm going to remove this, type the £, and if you recall, the container is subscribe. Once again, if you're not sure, just go back to the page in edit mode and you can see here we named it subscribe. So let me type subscribe. Great. So now it should work. If we click on join waitlist, it's taking us straight to the form. Now here we have our footer. Same way, we can either click here, or if we go back to the root of the navigation here, we can click on footer builder, and here we have a representation of our footer. So I'm just going to click here on copyright and we can see we can change the text here. So I'm just going to add some text like privacy, and here I can just double click on that word, click on the insert edit link icon, and here I can paste a URL or type to search for a page. Now we don't have a privacy page, but if we did, I would just type the name of that page. But it's just to show you how you can easily edit the footer. So here I'm just going to type a £, which is going to mimic a fake link, and click on the apply button. And now we have a clickable link here in the footer. So if you need to edit the footer, you can do it here. Now, if I select the little gear icon here, I get to the settings and I can change more settings here about our footer. I can also go to the design tab. I can change the background color. For example, I could pick this one, but we're going to keep it simple and put it back to the way it was, and then click on publish. Now let's go back to the front end and let me refresh. And we can see that our navigation is now updated, as well as our call to action button. So if I click on about, it works perfectly. Let me scroll back up. Let me click on value. It works fine. Let me go back up. Why? Perfect. Testimonials. Perfect. And let's click on the call to action button. And perfect. 100% it works. Now the beauty of it is that because we use ZipWP and starter templates, it's already responsive out of the box. So it looks beautiful here on the tablet, and it looks as beautiful here on the smartphone. And we all know the importance of smartphones nowadays. So keeping the navigation is in case you have a one-page website. Now, if you want to use the same page on an existing website, so as a landing page, you want to remove the header. And for this, just go to edit page, then click on the Astra icon in the top right corner. Click on disable elements, and here you can toggle on disable header and disable footer. Then click on update, And now if we go back to the front end, there is no header. And if we go to the bottom, there is no footer. Now you might be wondering, why would we do this even if we leave it on an existing website? Well, if it's an existing website, chances are there are other things on the website that your potential customers might be interested in. And that means they may abandon the idea of actually performing the action you want them to perform on that page. So by removing the navigation on the landing page, you basically help your potential customer to be focused on the task at hand, which is in this case, leaving their email address if they are interested in the upcoming ebook. Now for the rest of this video, we'll keep the navigation, but at least you know how to do it if you want a real landing page without navigation. So let me reverse what I just did and let me toggle off disable header and disable footer, and let's click on update. And now if I scroll back up and I refresh, there you go. We're back with our navigation and our footer. Now, right now with this navigation, if I click, for example, on about, fine, I'm going straight there. But if I want to go to another part of the same page, I need to go back up. So there is a way to change this if you're using Astra Pro. So first you want to go to plugins, add new plugin, click on upload plugin, and next choose the file you receive when you purchase Astra Pro or one of the other premium plans. So click on choose file, select the zip file, click on open, click on install now, and click on activate plugin. Next, click on activate your copy of Astra Pro, paste your license, and click on activate. All right, now click on welcome, scroll down, and make sure sticky header is toggled on. Next, you want to go to Astra, customize, then click on header builder, sticky header, and click on stick primary header. And now as you can see, as we scroll, our header stays sticky. So let's hit publish. And now if we go back to the front end, so that's the old version. And now let me refresh. And now if I click on about, as you can see, I can still see the navigation. And let's say I want to go to the Y section. As you can see, still visible, which makes it a lot more convenient. Now, as mentioned, this is one of the many features of Astra Pro, so I'll put a link to Astra Pro in the description of this video. Now, if you're using the free version of ZipWP, this website is going to be up and running for 24 hours maximum. So as you can see here in my dashboard, here is the time to expire. So if you want to know how to export your ZipWP website before the time expires and import it into your own web hosting, I will put a link in the description of this video to one portion of this video where it clearly shows you how to easily perform that action. And if you want to know how to get your own web hosting and domain name, we have a dedicated video on the topic, so you will find a link in the description of this video. Now, if you're using the premium version of ZipWP, all you need to do is click on Make Permanent. But if I try to do it here, I'm on a free plan, it's going to prompt me to upgrade, which could be a good idea if you want to build more than one website and you want to be able to create blueprints, which are basically one-click installable designs that you can share, create custom websites with AI, and much, much more. So you should not be able to create any type of one-page website with ZipWP because basically what you learned today, you can apply to any industry. Now the question is, what will your website be about? Please let us know in the comments below. And whether you have a definite project or maybe you just want to learn a new skill, why don't you try ZipWP? It's free. So of course you'll find a link in the description below. All right.